back. I hope it was in person, but it's been a great journey so far, and I'm doing great.
Yeah, that's really nice. So, how is the pandemic situation there? Like, everywhere it is the same situation. So that's the question.
Yeah, it's been normal since July of 2020. We had a shutdown for like 3 months at MD Anderson, like since March of 2020 to June of 2020, and then slowly everything started revamping. And as you know, the vaccinations was early comparatively, so it's pretty good at this stage. But people who aren't vaccinated here are obviously at stake. But things have been better than what it was in 2020.
Okay. So how was your day, Wayne? Like, it's night probably there, I guess.
Yeah, it's 11 p.m. here, 11:05 p.m. to be precise. My day was good. I was helping one of my friend to move in, and then I had some stuff to finish. I was working on a proposal, and then that's what it's been. Yeah.
Okay, that's really nice. Okay, let's start with the interview. And as you know, that half of the population of India, even if Odisha, they don't even know there is some life science course in NIT Rourkela. Even I didn't know till I was preparing for JEE Mains. So, like, can you say your journey about how do you know about it and how you entered to NIT?
Okay, I'll be honest, even I didn't know about the life science program until I applied for it. So I was actually preparing for medical entrance exams. Things didn't work out. I didn't get a seat in a government medical college. So, and I didn't want to take a gap year as well. And then I got to know that okay, there's a program at NIT Rourkela, and I had scored that I was at least eligible to apply for. So I went ahead with that, but I was very sure that I wanted to study biology. That is what I knew after 12th. You know, we don't have that much exposure at that stage. But yeah, I had one of my cousins who was doing his PhD here at Louisiana State University, and he went through the program curriculum of the integrated masters at NIT, and he was like, "Yeah, that's pretty good. Even if the program is new, the curriculum is really nice, and you will have a good exposure." But all through this, while I was stubborn about studying biology, that's what I knew. So I got into NIT at the spot round, and then yeah, that's how the journey was. But my parents were very supportive throughout. It's sad that people really don't know about this program, but I hope with time uh, it will be more popular.
Yeah, definitely. Like even the I even that was the similar journey of mine. Okay, so after you entered into the NIT, it must be a hustle. Everything is so new. Like being in a technical institute, especially, and studying biological sciences. So how was your experience? Like how was your whole journey in the NIT, starting from the first year?
Okay, first year was tough, definitely. As a bio enthusiastic, I don't know how to put it, but it's tough to go through the maths one and physics one. Definitely, everyone struggles, and even I had struggled, but I had a good support of friends. Like the first semester was hard, but things kind of fell into place. Like you adapt eventually. So first year was tough, like all the workshop and especially physics one and maths one. I remember. I was terrible, but then starting from second year, it was nice because you know we start studying with the branch courses, and you slowly get into more biology specific courses, so it was pretty good. And yeah, things worked out pretty well. You're muted.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so like coming to the maths one and physics one, like can you say how you dealt with it, like briefly?
Well, everyone studies just before the exams, a week before the exams, you freak out. I was also one of them, but we were a group of 3 4 friends who we used to study together, and I don't exactly remember what I prepared for, but definitely it was tough to just like go through the entire semester. um, yeah.
Okay, so like also, do you miss your friends now, being so much apart?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, undergrad is the bachelor's is the best part of your life. That is um, definitely you will miss your friends, but you slowly move on in your life, but you stay in touch. Um, that's how it's been.
Okay, so like that NITR, like in NITR, distractions are like part of the routine. Like every time at some point we uh, face some kind of distractions. Like how you dealt with it.
Okay, what kind of distractions, if you don't mind specifying, I can answer it in a better way.
uh, Saying that it depends, like distractions differ from person to person. Like for me, it you can say club work, or some somebody could call at night and just disturb you regarding the homework or something like that. It depends, like what was your distractions when you were in NIT?
Well, regarding the club work, I was I mean, until second year, I didn't know what I wanted to do after five year of integrated program, honestly. But towards the end of second year, I was kind of serious and I was focused on academics and getting good internships so that I have a good research profile, at least to be eligible to apply for the PhD programs. Um, so coming to distractions for the club work in first year, I don't think I wasn't a part of any of the clubs. I gradually started from second year. I remember being a part of the Genesis, the bioengineering club, and Bureaucrats. Those were the two clubs I was a part of. But um, like you just need to like manage your time, irrespective of you go out with your friends on weekends, you enjoy your undergrad life, but you make sure that you are focusing on
The
a little
study.
bit on your career part too. So yeah.
Okay, so like okay, so apart from all these things, like who were your favorite professors starting from your first year, like in general?
Okay. Yeah, this is a very good question. From first year, we our faculty advisor was Dr. Rasu Jaibalan. So Jaibalan sir has been like a great motivation. He did a orientation for us when we entered. I remember like it was 2 3 weeks into the first semester. We had orientation. He introduced us to all of the scholarships that we can apply, and that's where I got to know that there is a DST Inspire scholarship where you get paid throughout your entire 5 year program. And I just got to know that I'm eligible to apply for. And he shaped my career. Like he has a huge role to play for wherever I am today. um, for the Inspire scholarship, I had applied towards the end of my first year, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, Javalan sir had helped me a lot with the application process, and then of course, after that, I think the Inspire results got out early second year or so. And then I was also looking for summer internships as usual. For first year summer, I just relaxed because I didn't know I should start working from then. I had no idea, but I was home for the first year summer. And from second year, I had applied for the Indian Academy of Sciences Summer Fellowship Program. And then also Jaibalan sir had introduced like the application, how you should fill an application, what it should like, what are the things that should go in, starting from helping with the drafts, recommendation letters, and everything. And then I got into the Indian Academy of Sciences summer fellowship. My lab was in Banaras Hindu University. It was with Dr. Parimal Das. That was my first exposure in lab, to be honest, like learning basic molecular biology techniques and how a research life or a research culture looks like. And after that, that was like a eye-opening experience for me, and I really liked the environment, including uh, Dr. Parimal Das. He was very supportive of me pursuing higher studies, like doing a PhD abroad and stuff. And then after that, I came back after summer, it was the third semester, I think. No, third year. And then I was working with Mona Lisa ma'am for a year or so. And then I was also applying for the obviously you just go do your academics regular curriculum, and then you figure out towards the spring semester or towards the February and stuff like what you should do in the summer. So I was kind of in that third year. I had applied to MyTax, I remember, and nothing worked out until May. So I thought of joining NISER. So I had joined for like 15 days. Dr. Praful Singhru's lab, and then in the meanwhile I was also applying. So that is when I had applied to the ACSIR APJ Abdul Kalam training program, and I got into CCMB. I had worked with Dr. Thangaraj. Also, for that application, I would like to owe Jaibalan sir, of course, and Monalisa ma'am, and Dr. Salim Mohammed. I think he is no longer serving as a faculty at NIT, but yeah. These are the faculties who had immensely helped me throughout the journey. And then after the CCMB, I was kind of determined to try for Khurana and a foreign internship basically. So I was applying to as much places I could, and then in fourth year I think I was done with so I switched labs after that. I started working with Dr. Vivekanand Malik, and
It was
let
in
me
your
just
fourth year, right? Like you started
Yeah,
working.
it was the final year project, but yeah, I was in touch with him since the second semester of fourth year. So then I got into Khurana. That was after the summer of fourth year, of course. That was in the summer of fourth year, where I worked at Baylor College of Medicine. And that was a good, enriching experience. I got to know how research works here in the States and how things are different. Um, like basically you observe a lot of change in culture and the work culture, especially. That was a very good exposure. And after that I did my master's thesis in Dr. Vivekanand Malik's lab. And Malik sir was very supportive throughout my PhD application process. I have um, like numerous recommendation letters and a lot of suggestions. He was definitely important part for motivating me to apply more to more places, especially. I was kind of laid back after I went from the Khurana scholarship. Like, it was an enriching experience, and then I went back in July, and then I started the application process around November for the PhD programs. And yeah, so I think I covered all the professors and the entire journey in that.
But still, I have a lot of questions. Like,
Sure, go
okay,
ahead.
so let's start with the master thesis. I'm like starting. I have read your article, and I'm kind of very curious about your master thesis. Like, not about briefly, but can you say anything memorable moment from there, or anything like you want to share and you want to suggest the people that while doing research we should consider these things?
I would say one thing, the first priority for me was definitely the applications, and to make sure I applied to the places that I was interested in, and basically securing offer. That was my main goal in the final year. And the second priority was my master's thesis project. I'm just being honest. But Malik sir was very supportive with that. I used to, it was difficult to balance, definitely, like going through the semester, you have courses to study and then working in the lab, along with that, applying for different programs. He was very supportive about the fact there have been days where, I would have missed a deadline, and 2 days before I would just request him, please give me a recommendation letter, or I need help with this one. He has, you just need like, uh, especially it was important because balancing lab semester and applying to PhD programs is definitely very hectic. So it's important to have a guide who understands your priority and then helps you and guides you through the journey, basically. So it worked out well for me. Yeah.
Okay, so like okay, this was your like applying for PhD. I have some set of questions for that also. I'll ask later on. But let's start with the internship since we are in our third year. Okay, I just forgot. I'm myself from third year, and I apply a lot of places. But since it's pandemic and there is a and no one is accepting nowadays. So, like,
Yeah.
I want to ask you about your internships journey. Like you have said, but what was your favorite journey of internship, and you must have learned from there. Like, what is the life lesson you learned and you want to share with us?
Okay, the internship where I learned the most was definitely my first one because I was naive. I didn't know anything about lab, how things work, and I just like, and that was my, I think, first ever stay outside of Odisha. So it was kind of overwhelming for the first 2 weeks. But in the lab of Dr. Parimal Das, they study genetic disorders. So I was allotted a small project on polycystic kidney disorders, and his main goal from the first day, like he knew that I didn't know anything, and I'm excited to learn, but I have no experience. So the first priority was to learn as many molecular biology techniques as I can. So yeah, I had a very supportive PhD mentor there, and then that was a good exposure because that was a point where I got to know that yeah, I like research and I like working in a lab. So this is a good place for me to be because I really had no idea what to do after 5 years. So yeah, so that was the first turning point.
Wow, that's really inspiring to listen. Okay, now I'm just pumping up. Like, had this pandemic wouldn't be there, like we could have experienced all those internships. um, okay, so you said that you did one project with Mona Lisa ma'am. So how was your experience with Mona Lisa ma'am as well as Vivekananda sir, as well as other faculties?
Okay, this is a diplomatic question. Sorry. It was good with the like. So I was interested in cancer biology and knowing more about cancer in general. So it made more sense to have some background. But in the second year, I was exposed to a lot of like how a fly lab works, and then doing all the behavioral essays with Drosophila and stuff. So Mona Lisa ma'am was very, you know how she is. She's very warm and kind. She will accommodate you. Like I was eager to learn, and she was very accommodating. So that kind of felt good. But then after my I think I was working in a lab in a second and half of third year, if I'm not wrong. And then, so it made more sense to join Vivek sir's lab because they work on cancer biology and cancers, and it, at that time, it's very broad. You don't know in depth about a lot of stuff. But I was curious to learn. So that's why I made the switch. That was the reason behind my switch. And yeah, I think that answers your question.
Yeah. Okay. So another question is as I'm starting from the thing I'm saying, that pandemic somewhat has affected everyone, especially the students, like whatever they wanted to gain the experience they couldn't. Like how did it affected, like even I guess that while you were doing your pursuing your PhD, pandemic started at that time around. Like, so how did it affect it? Like,
Definitely, it affected everyone in the world. I am not an exception. So, for in my case, I have a mice heavy project. So, I was kind of starting to build all the mice cohorts, and in March, like 24 hours before, there was an email from the chief of MD Anderson telling that in 24 hours we are going to shut down everything. You have to kill, sacrifice all your animals because there would be no one in the animal facility to maintain them. I would never forget that week. So we had to basically sacrifice all of the lines that we had, and just like save the basic ones so that once it reopens, we can propagate them. So we had no clue when the reopening was going to happen, but luckily things fell into place. And around June, it was a full 3 months of shutdown. And around June, everything revamped, and I started my project all over. Like it was a delay of around 8 to 9 months. But now, yeah, like things got delayed, but it hasn't affected that much. But I feel really sad seeing the online course. The way you guys are learning, I mean, hats off, staying for the entire 6 7 hours of classes. And you don't even, I don't know how the practical courses are working now. Uh, Definitely it will be difficult, but we don't have an answer, we don't have a choice, so we got to play with the cards that we have got. um, yes.
okay, so uh, if someone could ask us about the online experience, I guess it would take whole day to explain that. It's seriously
Yeah, I understand.
okay. So acha, you said that you have to sacrifice all the mice. Okay, I'm not I'm imagining it that you have to kill all those animals.
Yeah,
Oh my
I
god.
don't know if I should say this in an interview. We sacrificed, euthanized around 200 mice. That's insane, but we
Hello,
didn't have an option.
hello,
So
Swati. Am I
yes.
audible to you?
Yes.
Actually, I want to ask you a question. What are the reasons?
Okay. What happened now? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Divakar Keshri. Yeah. You wanted to ask something. Yes. You can ask. You can ask now. Hello. Okay. Okay.
It's okay. We
So
can go ahead, and once he has some questions, I don't know if there's a chat option here.
yeah, I guess so. If anyone has some questions, like they can put it in the chat box or they can raise the hands to ask the questions.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, I have two questions from you. One first question is what are the reason of cancer? And second question is are you working on mice model?
Yes, I'm working on mice models.
Actually, my sister is also working on same in IIT BHU, and she want to some help from you also. She is in PhD in second
Okay.
year in IIT BHU in same area in mice model.
Okay, Mr. Divakar, thank you for asking the questions, but I guess we can answer these questions in the end of the meeting. These are the questions based on
And
very technical. Yeah,
actually,
thank you.
another question is
Okay. Okay. So I guess yeah. Okay. Um, that's really nice. I guess It's a request that if anyone has some questions, please ask in the chat box or please raise your hand to ask the questions. I guess Shweta has raised the hand since starting of the meeting. Miss Shweta, you want to ask some questions?
No, ma'am, no, ma'am, nothing.
Okay, okay, fine. You can yeah, yeah. So where we are, I guess. Um, okay, so where we are. Yeah, I was asking about the mice model. We are discussing about the mice model. Yeah, one question I thought ever from the second year, since this is a 21st century and technology is like touching its peak. Even if in the COVID pandemic we there was a great help from technology. So do you think that somewhat technology mixing with biology will help us, and how far it will help us? Like, can you say us?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the one of the things that I can think of at this point is the COVID positive cases tracing that they did. AI has a lot of huge role to play, artificial intelligence, and then I don't know how exactly things work because I don't have a heavy computational background, but that has been a great help, just locating positive cases and monitoring those things. That's one thing that I can recall at this point. And if you have any specific questions, I would be happy to answer.
Okay. Acha. Let's come back to the I this is a very common questions we all undergraduates have in our mind. Like, how PhD is different from job, and which is more necessary in today's world? Like, is it doing PhD and going in R&D sector, or doing job, earning money, the rest?
It's kind of very personal choice, like what you want in your life, um, what you are passionate about, where you'll be happy. These are the three basic things I think everyone should think about. Sometimes there are financial issues and people want to do job. It's fine. I mean, there is no hard and bound rule. There's nothing right at this point. If you want to work for in a corporate sector, you want to earn money, that's fine. If you are happy there, it's great. And if you are interested in research, if you if you know if you'll be happy and patient and persistent enough to study on one topic for 5 years in depth, you pursue a PhD. So both has pros and cons. I think I cannot say this is right or the other is wrong. It's just like you need to be happy and passionate about what you're doing, and rest everything will work out.
Yeah, definitely. So patience and dedications are most important in PhD life, if I guessed it correct. Okay. So yeah. So I want to ask, what motivated you to go for PhD? You definitely you said, but what exactly was the motivation that got you to get the PhD? Because there are some jobs we can also do that, but why PhD?
So for me, in my case, I was so as I said, my first research internship was very good. I was curious to learn new things. That is what motivated me in the first place to just go on doing more internships and getting more exposure. And it's, I don't know how to say it. Like, it's just, I was very addictive to know more about how things work in labs, and knowing more about any kind of techniques and how you understand ask a biological question and then figure out what experiments you should do to answer this. And sometimes, you find out something which nobody knows. That is exciting. So that is what it was. It's a very naive answer, and I'm just answering in layman terms. But that is what initially it was for me in my second and third year, because I was just exploring different options where I would be happier. And then as I went on doing more internships and getting to know more about how research works, how lab works, I felt that it would be a good choice for me to do a PhD. I'll be honest, I hadn't decided until my final year that if I should do in India or if I should go abroad. So I was applying at both places. But yes, this was MD Anderson was a good opportunity, and I felt it is the right decision to just go for it. That is what it was.
That's really nice. Okay. So, can you say a bit more about your PhD life, including your lab work as well as your, everything, whatever is going around your life? It's a daily routine.
I remember having an interview with you, I think, before 3 or 4 months, if I'm not wrong. You had asked me a question, how is your work-life balance? That just came into my mind, so it was spot on. Sorry. I think I had an interview with you, right? 3 to 4 months before. It was you, if I'm not wrong. Never mind. So a daily routine is like I just wake up, go to lab, plan my experiments for the day. I set, I have a hypothesis, I have specific aims, like questions which I study. I plan the experiments to answer the questions of the specific aims, or let's say I want to know the let's say gene expression of gene X. So I do qPCR to get the levels of what is the gene expression of that particular target gene. Or if I want to check some target protein levels, you do some Western blots. It's just like planning the experiments around to answer the questions. That is how it has been since the past year. But here, the program is kind of structured in a way where we take curriculum, like set of courses in the first year. Once you are done with the courses, you join a lab. You are also doing rotations during your courses, and then you out of those 3 rotations or 2 rotations, whichever you decide, you pick a lab to join. And after you join a lab, you are either assigned a project or you develop a project that you want to work on. So you have like a year or so to figure out the hypothesis and the specific aims of the project that you need to work on, and then you design the set of experiments for it. And then you need to take your candidacy exam. That is where you defend to say that this is what I want to work on, and I think this proposal is good enough, and I'll get good results. So basically, you defend your proposal, and then if you pass the candidacy, you just go on working on the experiments and the proposal that you have, and then you publish papers, and eventually you graduate. So it's basically a training where you learn how you answer specific biological questions, and also it narrows you down to asking the right questions.
Okay, if you say, can you say are you independently perform research? If you are just doing something and then suddenly comes to your mind, like I should try this and let's see what happens, like without anyone's permission. Like, have you ever tried this?
It's not independent, it's a teamwork. I have a lab of 12 members, and there's my PI. So we have a big project running, and we are assigned a small part of each of the projects, and people lead those. Like, let's say the project that I'm working on, there's another instructor who works on it, and there is me. So we have things divided between us that we are supposed to do, and then it is never independent. But of course, if you want to do here, that is very free. It's like if you have a specific question and you have a valid reason why you want to do the experiment, of course, you get the reagents, you get the equipments, you do the experiment, and you see what results you get.
Wow, that's really nice. Okay, let's get back to NITR again. Like, it's a technical institute. Did it affected somewhat in your biological studies? Like, if I, consider my juniors or my batchmates, like nowadays coding has a bit of importance in biological studies too. So, did it somewhat affected when you were studying?
Affect in the sense you mean
Positive.
hamper?
No,
Okay.
positive. Positive.
Okay. Okay. I loved computer sciences. Like I was in the ICSE board, so we get to learn C, C++, Java. And in first year also we had the computer labs. It was kind of restricted until then. I wanted to learn different languages like R and Python, but I never really got a chance during my time at NIT to implement it into my either my thesis project or in research. But yeah, it is definitely that is a sector that is definitely attractive, and I think it's a good field to pursue if you are interested in coding and studying computational biology.
Okay. Like, uh, I wanted to ask that when I first entered into the college, I was very much doubtful. Like, whatever I'm doing, is it right or wrong? Like at first when you entered and you don't know anything, everyone is pursuing something. Like, it affects. Did it happen ever in your life?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does every
Both.
time. You question yourself. That's how you improve. Every time it happens, it just so it has happened to me. What I do in those stages is I do the things that feel better to me. Like I think, okay, I can do this nicely, and I'll be happy doing it. You pick that one. That's the simplest answer that I can give to your question.
Okay. Okay, I guess I'll have some more questions later on. Why don't we ask from the audience? Like, I request the audience who have joined. Do you have any questions and you want to ask? Please raise your hands. Okay, so we have Naga Venkata Vikash.
Yeah,
Okay.
hi. Hi, Swati. Vikas here. Actually, a small background of myself is I have completed masters in NITR biomedical. So strangely, Vivek sir was my reviewer in my Viva final Viva. So it was
Mhm.
good with him, a good conversation. So my question is, but my bachelor's actually was in computer science, but not from a biological field. It was
Mhm.
very difficult and very tedious to make up the motivation to complete biomedical engineering here. So finally have completed, but my project was in bioinformatics. So my question is, as you are from abroad, how is the scope of computer science specialized people in bio related labs there? Can I
It's really
aspire to go there without like I don't have in-depth biological knowledge. I just know the basics.
Yeah, definitely. The intersection of computational background into biology is a hot field now, and definitely you will have a lot of opportunities here in the US. Talking about MD Anderson, I have seen a good amount of labs that do single cell transcriptomics, and there's a lot of big data analysis where you incorporate, I think something got disconnected, where you
Yeah, yeah.
incorporate.
So,
Yeah.
like I have like on top of that, just to continue on, like what type of skill sets are they looking for? Like both in biological and computational side for a computer science guy. At what level? Like at what depth they are expecting if I want to apply for a lab, and where can I like find the postings, or do I need to directly contact the lab? So these are the two final questions. Yeah, please.
Yeah, so you need to search for labs. where they are using a lot of computational languages to, like, let's say R, Python. I don't know I don't have that much background about applying Java into Java, C, C++, or different kind of languages into projects, like biology specific projects. But I know a couple of people who have done integrated masters, or have a masters in computational sciences, and they're doing research specific to biochemistry or in molecular biology. There are really good programs and good labs. But I know a couple of labs. You can definitely email me. I can send you those links. I hope they'll be helpful. And regarding what they look for, it varies from program to program. Here there are some universities where faculties directly accept you. Like, let's say you email a faculty A, and they like your profile. They think you'll be an asset to their lab, and they'll accept you, and then you directly apply to the program, and you get in for a PhD. And in other cases, like for MD Anderson, how it is, like, you directly apply to a program. You don't need to contact any faculties, and the selection committee picks your application based on your research interest, and then you specify the labs in your application where you want to work in.
You are muted for a while. Like, could you please repeat?
You should have interrupted me in between. Where did I get muted?
Like, just a few minutes, just a little bit, a few seconds before.
Okay, like, if they have any questions, I can answer. I don't know where I got muted, so
Yeah,
was
I
just
think
saying.
last two statements or three statements you are muted. Yes, I think, yeah. There
Okay,
were
I
issues
was
with
just saying about,
everybody.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
There was issue with Teams audio. Everybody was muted and all the audio was lost. Yeah, no problem. Please
Yeah,
continue.
for mine also it happened.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So I was just saying the two routes how, like, you can get a PhD in the US. One was, like, you can directly apply to the faculties, email the professors, and then if they like your profile and your interests, they'll take an interview, and then they accept you into their lab, and then you apply to the program, and then just for the formality, then you get into the PhD program of that university. And the other route is where you apply to directly to the PhD program of the university, and in your SOP you mention the labs that you're interested in, and then they pick your application, you get interviewed, you get into the program, and then you do rotation and join a lab that you like. So these are the two modes that I have seen so far, especially like here in the States.
Okay. So, like, let's say if I'm not sure which field to work on, I am not even sure about a PhD, but I am sure about the research. So, is there any other opportunities where I can work for a year or internship or research associate or something kind of thing, as I already have a master's?
Uh, like, you mean abroad?
Yes, because like in India, they have JRF, SRF, research associate positions, right? Similar kind of.
Yeah, you can. So in that case, you'll have to directly email to the lab where your research interests overlap, and people hire students as a post baccalaureate research assistant, or there are specific names. So basically, as a research assistant, you can definitely work. And I am not sure about how it works for international students, but I know a friend of mine who just got into Yale, and she's working as a research assistant, like a postgraduate research associate. That's her position. But yeah, they definitely do accept students um, without a PhD, or like if you just want to work without being in a PhD program. Yes, you can
Okay.
apply.
Great. Yeah. Thank you. That's all from my side. Thank you, Swati.
No problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyone wants to ask questions? Okay, so one of our junior, he wants to ask this, that difference between Indian and foreign PhD in terms of opportunities, stipends, and future prospects.
Okay, opportunities. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are
Okay.
not.
In terms of opportunities, there's a lot of freedom here. Like Samchita asked, you get to do experiments on your own choice. Like let's say you are curious to know about how this thing might work, you just order the reagents. There's a lot of funding. You have freedom to do experiments. And what was the second one?
Like that was the only about how stipends and future prospects.
Yeah, stipend, good question. Definitely, stipend is much better than what it is in India. They pay you well, at least enough to survive a good life for the 5 years of during the 5 years of the program. And the last one was life.
Uh, Future prospects.
Future prospects. Okay. Uh, in terms of future prospects, what I know here, people have options to transition into industry, or uh, there are like medical science liaisons where you help doctors and patients, especially communicating or simplifying scientific terms and research for them. There's also some careers in science policy. I also guess in India there are also opportunities where you can like get into industry after a PhD or even after a master's. But I'm not sure about other options. Like I know only about academia and industry in currently in the Indian whatever it is there. I don't know about the science policy, how things work, or medical science liaison. Recently, I was checking one fellowship of DST. They have started, like the government of India DST program. They have started a fellowship, something called as DST Science Policy Fellowship, where you can apply after, like there are different categories. You can check that out. It's definitely a good option if you are interested in pursuing science policy.
Okay. So he has a special request that I should mention his name. So he is Vibhuti, and he joined this year only. He's a very curious student, so he always asks questions. And yeah,
That's good.
the next question we have from Tapashwini Didi. Okay. Yeah, Tapashwini Didi, you can ask question.
Hi, Dee.
Hi.
Uh, Actually, earlier I didn't have much interest in biology, but like in third year, I got interested. But thing is that the syllabus and the content, especially in biology, is so overwhelming that if I cover this part, next moment I will forget. Like, how do you manage to like you have to find a passion, like a particular field, but like there's so much field to explore that you have to like explore for a bit, but it happens right when it gets mixed up, you like get confused, and when like once the syllabus it gets overwhelming, you will like get demotivated. So how did you manage to find your passion and also like keep yourself motivated, especially with this much of content?
Yeah, so about overwhelming, whenever it gets overwhelming, you can simplify it into small categories. You don't have to do all of the things together at the same time. Let's say you have 6 chapters to study and you are mixing up. You study one part, make sure you remember whatever you did at that part, or you just like, I don't know, study the basics of that part and then move on to other instead of trying to do all of the things together. Obviously, for me, there have been some stages where things have like been overwhelming. Um, uh, you just try to simplify it and do it. You'll have to find a way. Like if you're really interested and motivated, I would recommend you majorly focusing on the basics and simplifying things so that it doesn't go into the point that you get demotivated and don't do it.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
true.
you
I
have got
hope
a
that was
point.
helpful.
Yes, another thing is that you had like PhD interview before getting the position.
Yes.
So the interview was based on like whatever like basic knowledge or bit advanced.
Okay, so I gave a lot of interviews, in fact, so I can describe about what I faced. It differs from university to university. So the first ever PhD interview that I gave was at Germany. It was IMB. I flew down to Mainz, and there they had like a 3-day interview process where they were selecting the PhD students. It was 4 rounds. And the first round was you present your research, basically the entire master's thesis that you have done. There will be professors who are interested in your profile. They'll ask you questions. If you get selected in that round, they had a one-on-one round with all the professors. So 4 professors shortlisted me, and I had a one-on-one interview round with each of them. And then the third round was whoever got selected in that round, we had to pick like 3 or 2 professors where we visited their entire lab and interacted with all of their lab members. And even the professors, he was explaining about the project. So all of these were 3 or 4 evaluation rounds. That was pretty intense. So that was for Germany, and I had also another interview call from DKSZ, German Cancer Research Institute. I had I was about to go in the summer because it was falling in my mid-semester exams, but I could not make to that interview in person. So by the time I had received MD Anderson. So now let me talk about the MD Anderson interview. In this, once my application, like you submit your SOP, research experience, and the entire application package before the deadline, and then they review all of the applications. They have a baseline score. If you cross the score, they call those students for the interview round. I had 3 interviews. Before, when I got a call for the interview, I was asked to select 6 professors. 4 to 6 professors, and out of them I had interviews with 2 of them. I was scheduled for 3, but I had with 2 of them. And the questions were, the first round, it was I think it was a holistic approach. They wanted to know how my background was, why I'm passionate about doing a PhD, and like what made me come into research. And next part was my master's thesis project and all of the research experiences that I had, and the technical details about the experiments that I did. So they basically test your thinking ability, and like if an experiment does not work, how you think, how you can troubleshoot things or to make things work. That was one part. And the next thing was, I think that was it for one of the interviews. I had 2 interviews from MD Anderson, and both of them were kind of different. In the second one, it was pretty serious. I presented my master's thesis work, and he had a lot of technical questions like, if this didn't work, what would you have done? How did you do this? Like it was a flow cytometry experiments. What did you use to do this? And the basic questions was there. And then I was scheduled a meeting with all the lab members, but that was pretty short. That is all the interview experiences that I had in my final year.
Thank you. That's all.
Okay, listening all these things, it seems to be pretty much intense. Okay.
It is not. I mean, if you try, I think I talk too much, but if you try, definitely, if I could do it, anyone can do it. That's what I believe in, and keep trying. That is what I can say now.
Okay. So I have like few questions my juniors asked me, like if I can ask from them, like why you chose to do PhD in abroad but not in India? Like even India's have some opportunities, but why abroad?
As I said before, I was open about doing a PhD in India, so I was also applying in both the places. Obviously, I wanted to do cancer research, and MD Anderson is one of the best places. So who would reject the offer if you get from MD Anderson and you're interested in doing cancer research? It is that was one. To be honest, that was the first reason behind pursuing PhD abroad. Obviously, even many of the Indian institute have really good labs. It is not that it's not. It was not biased decision.
Okay. So like, what are your plans after PhD? Like, what do you want to do?
So for now, I think I am planning to transition into the industrial opportunities that I'll get here after my PhD. But I hope things will work out.
Definitely it will. Okay. So I guess we are done with the questions. Anyone from the audience, you have some questions and you want to ask? This is a one-time opportunity we won't get. um, okay, so
I think there is someone raising the hand. Yeah.
okay, so I'll go one by one. Yeah, Kundanathan, you can ask some questions.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, Kundanathan, you're audible.
Ma'am, my question is, if one very interested in research, especially pursuing PhD in abroad, how should we proceed? Especially, to be frank, without any prior research experience or zero publications, both from a simple fact sense of technical as well as from economical status.
Sorry, I could not hear the last part. If you don't mind repeating it.
Yeah, my question is, if a student is interested to pursue research, okay, especially PhD in abroad, how far the ground reality is from a simple background, both in the sense of technical as well as from an economical status. I'm saying if a student wish to pursue PhD in abroad, but you don't have any prior research experience as well as zero publications, what the things that he should need to done during his coursework in a master's or something to get things gets translated into the reality. It means how fast.
Yeah, I understand. If you don't have any publications, it's better to have some research experience. The other way out is, I feel like if within a year you want to apply, you can get a good GRE score. Even though many of the programs have made it optional, they weigh the application scores. As you don't have any research experience or publications, you can strengthen your application by getting good recommendation letters and having a good GRE score. And of course, TOEFL is required in most of the places, I think. That might help you balance it out. And of course, like the grades that you have received, they usually change it to a scale of 4. That also counts a bit. I think that's how you can balance your application, and framing a good SOP is very important. It's a personal statement, and they look at, like most of the admission committees, I'm pretty sure they for the first thing that they check is the SOP. So you need to have a good impression on them, that you're very motivated, even though you didn't get enough chances to have research experience. You're very passionate in learning and curious to pursue a PhD. That will help.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
Okay, Mr. Kundanathan, I hope you have got your answer. Like, any more questions? Okay, I guess we have no questions. Okay, now this one is the last question. So, how was the session and how you liked it, and any suggestions you want to give us, our juniors and people like us?
I was really happy to see the Bioscience Society. First of all, when I was a part of the life science department, this didn't exist. I got to know that Mrutyunjay was the founder. Very good job. It's really great to open such a society so that you guys get good amount of exposure. The session was really good, and the questions were good. And if any of you could not attend the session or if you have questions, feel free to email me. You can share my Gmail address. I don't know if you have it, but I can give it to you. Please share it with them so that any questions regarding the application process or any technical details or about NIT, you can go ahead and email me.
Okay, I guess Mrityunjay Bhaiya wants to say something. Bhaiya, you can unmute and say.
Thank you, Didi, for joining today, and it was a great experience. Like we had this thing planned for like a long time, and we all are quite inspired by your journey, how you went through this Corona scholarship, and then you went to MD Anderson, did your PhD. It was a great journey, and we all wanted to learn quite a lot after it. Thank you, Didi, for joining. And there is some questions from my side as well. Like I have been interested in research from the very beginning itself, and I have been pursuing research in different labs of India and abroad as well in my different research internships that I have been doing previous year. But the point is, I am not quite sure which field I should choose. Like there are a lot of domains in the field of life sciences, and I've done work in infection biology, I have done work in molecular biology, cell biology, and all the other works. But how did you narrow it down to a particular domain that you are interested in which you should work? So,
Okay,
is there
I will first tell you about my experience and then I'll ask you one more question. So, for me, it was really exciting to see how people work with patient samples, how cancer research happens, and then it gets transitioned into clinic. And one day, 10 years down the lane, that there's a drug to treat one of the cancers that has a really good impact on the society. I was amazed by this process, and that is why it was intriguing and why I wanted to do cancer research. For yours, as you have explored, which is really good that you have explored all of the fields, where did you enjoy the most working? Like when you were working with infection biology, or let's say biochemistry, which research did you enjoy the most?
actually, to be honest, in different fields, I have enjoyed all the labs. Like every lab has a different experience. Like infection has a different experience. It has different sort of tools and ways in which we work. And even the chemical biology, working with CRISPR-Cas and the other gene editing tools, that is also interesting. But I think little bit I'm more inclined towards the gene editing part because most of the work is done these days on that. So I guess maybe that one, but I'm also not quite sure because others I cannot ignore, like other field. Those things also, I have a lot of interest in those fields. So that is, I'm in a fix now. Like which should I choose? But
What you can do is, one option is applying to umbrella PhD programs like the one that was at MD Anderson. It's an umbrella program. We do all the courses, we do rotations in different labs, and then we join the lab where we like, and then you join the program. But in my case, it was different. I knew I wanted to work in cancer biology, but I have a couple of friends who were not sure if they want to work, let's say microbiology or biochemistry or therapeutics and pharmacology. So you go through the entire curriculum courses, and then you rotate in different labs, and based on your experience where you like the most, you can join. And trust me, all of these are integrated. If you want to have a project where you want to integrate everything, you can do that. You need to find which field you like. Yes, go ahead.
yeah, okay. So one more question I had. So if we have two professors, for example, like one professor who is more experienced in the field, who has many published, he is very recognized in the field and he is a pioneer in the field. Like the one you're working with, like George Callan is a very renowned professor in the field of microRNA and cancer, the interface. And there is another professor who has just joined. He's starting his career and he's also developing, but the research thrust that he is interested in is a very good field to explore. So which one should we choose? Like, should it be a very renowned one or should it be one who is starting out in this journey?
If you find the research interesting of the assistant professor that you're talking about, definitely go for that. As is like new faculties, they're very enthusiastic. They want to do things, and that's a good opportunity for you to learn. And if you like the science, it's like bingo.
Thank you,
So
Jyoti. That's all. Thank you very much. Samchita, you take over.
Okay. So it was really interacting, and we got to learn a lot from you. In fact, I had a lot many doubts, and I also learned a lot from you, and I got my clear idea that what I should do from now on. And
that's good. And I don't mind joining for another session if you guys have more questions.
yeah, that would be really nice then. Okay, I guess no more questions are there for now, but in future we might have some events and question answer sessions like this. Okay, this is like a flagship event and we are going to have it in every semesters. Okay, so I guess you might need to have some rest. It's already midnight there.
Yeah, it's 12:10 a.m.
Okay, so I guess we can wrap it here, and thank you for joining us. It was really interacting and it was really amazing. So thank you so much. Thank you so much to the audience who have joined and who have asked their questions. I hope it was a very insightful session for everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me, and to all the people who joined. I hope my journey helps, and if you guys have any questions, please feel free to email me, or I can come over for another session. That's not a problem.
That's great. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, so you can stop the recording now, Samchita.